Snow. We don't normally get snow in April, not in Michigan, but then again, weather is rarely normal here in southeastern Michigan, so it is what it is. I'm on my way to a very interesting meeting to meet a very interesting guy. When I was around 16 years old, I invented these little characters, these little plastic characters. I manufactured them, I tooled them, I designed them, I marketed them, I sold them. I did everything. Quite a story for a young kid. They were called antenna acrobats. If you know a few of my previous videos, you know about them. They're like a novelty that clips on your car antenna. Anyways, I had these big dreams for selling these things around the world and making it like a fun novelty to sell. I didn't know anything about how to sell products. I was the son of a plumber and a tradesman, and I didn't really have a lot of like business experience beyond what my dad told me. I figured I needed to learn some things, and I was an entrepreneur. I felt proud to carry the moniker of the self-employed entrepreneur. I'm not sure how I found it, but I found an organization called the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan, and they held meetings every 2 weeks. The business owners from the neighborhood would go, and it was in Southfield, which was like about a 40-minute drive away, which to me, when I was 16, was a long ways away. They held meetings with business owners from different genres, and they all networked and tried to help each other out. I decided that I really wanted to go to one of these meetings. I wanted to figure out how to be a better entrepreneur. I went to my first Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan meeting, sat down at a long table with like 20 or 30 other business people, local business people in the neighborhood, and I was nervous. So nervous. I remember my hands were shaking. The beginning part of this meeting, everybody stood up and told everybody their name and what their business was and maybe what they were looking for. As soon as the first person stands up and talks, the first inclination is to think, how many people away from me is that person? How long do I have to wait before it gets to my turn? And I gotta stand up in front of all of these adults. They were all like middle-aged people. And here I am, this young kid. And I remember standing up, and I was like sort of stuttering and sweating, and my hands were sweaty. Hi, my name's Matt. I have an idea for these plastic things, and I showed them, and you know, if anybody can help me, I'm looking to sell these, and you market these, and blah blah blah. That was my introduction into being a real true entrepreneur. Networking is very important in life, and especially to that 16-year-old Matt that was trying to grow his business. It was not only my first step into like true entrepreneurship, but it was also my introduction to Ike Engelbaum. Ike Engelbaum is a character. He was an older gentleman that ran the group. He ran the group with another guy named Richard. Richard is my mentor, and I met him at this Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan group. But Ike was the man that introduced me to Richard. So I thank Ike Engelbaum for a lot of who this guy is right now. Anyways, when I was meeting with my mentor Richard the other day, he said that Ike Engelbaum is still running these groups. He's running one on the other side of town, which is, I'm in traffic trying to get there. We are going to be able to meet Ike again. He doesn't know I'm coming. I'm interested to meet him. He's a very Jewish kind of fella, you know? But he's nice, and he's got a heart of gold, and he's always out there to try and help put people together to accomplish your goals and dreams. So that's what we're doing this morning. We're headed out to see Ike Engelbaum. Networking to me is probably one of the most important things to do if you are almost anything. Because you know what? You don't know everything. You might think you know everything, but you never do know everything. There's different people at different stages of their lives and different stages of their business, different stages of trials and tribulations that they go through. And when you can sit down and talk with somebody who's gone through something similar, that's when you can kind of learn from those things without having to go through those things yourself. You see, we follow a path, and we only have a set number of years on this rock to learn what we need to learn in order to do what we want to do in life. And if you're bogged down trying to learn lessons that you wouldn't necessarily have to learn because there's people out there that could guide you through those problems via their own experiences that they've had, then why not, right? And that's what networking does for you. One, it provides you with experience without having to experience the experience yourself. And two, it gives you an enormous amount of energy and confidence. There's a buzz, it's almost a drug that you get from being around people that are trying to be successful, working hard, attempting to, you know, become successful, people with drive. That energy is infectious, and you will receive a portion of their energy and that vibe. The first time I went to one of these events, I was nervous, scared, really rough in my interactions with people. And if you watch these videos, you can see I'm fairly comfortable on camera. I'm fairly comfortable talking to people. I'm fairly comfortable communicating myself. And a lot of that has to do with all the networking events I've gone to. You know, the more interactions that you have, the more times you walk up to a stranger and you introduce yourself, the easier it gets. And the more comfortable you get interacting with people. And that's an important skill. Yeah, networking events, very good. I lived in Vegas for 5 years. I used to be the man about town on my networking events. I used to go to events for the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, the North Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, the Nevada Minority Business Council, the Rotary Club. I would go to events, as many as I could. I didn't wear a tie, but I wore a suit and a vest. I tried to stand out by wearing a vest. I was the entrepreneur that walked in and always wore his suit and vest. And I was selling stuff. I was being a product designer, and I had my own company there. And people knew me as the guy that was always at the meetings. And I always tried to help another person in the meeting, no matter what I could do. I always tried to help. Because it's important not only to ask, it's always important to give. Whatever you can do for somebody, anytime, but even at these events, is very important in showing that you are a contributing member of the group. And if you weren't a contributing member of the group, people wouldn't necessarily want to help you as much. You're always more adept to help somebody that is helping you than to help somebody that is only asking for help themselves. So I was very, very busy and social in Las Vegas when I lived there, and it actually got me my first order, and it got me networked with people that ended up giving me orders. It was a very lucrative move on top of everything to go to these meetings. And so when I went to China, I moved to China, everybody was so tight-lipped. Nobody talked to anybody. The consensus there was that I worked hard when I came to China to earn these leads, whether it was a factory or a marketing company or a client overseas. Why would I go to these meetings and give away my secrets? And so I had a really tough time finding people that would help me or at least give me some advice. I wasn't asking for their clients, I was just asking for their experience, help with what they've learned. And so I struggled to try to find people, because I was extremely lonely in my first year in China. Extremely lonely. Sitting in my little apartment oftentimes trying to figure out, how am I gonna grow in this community that's so tight-lipped and doesn't speak my language, and I don't even understand how things work culturally at the time. So I persevered, and instead of trying to join a group, I decided to start my own group, and I called it the Asia English Business Network. I modeled it based on the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan system. I modeled it based on the Nevada Minority Business Council system. I added a little bit of my flavor. I added a little bit of the Chambers of Commerce I used to go to. And I created my own group, and this group was designed to help people. I knew like 4 or 5 people in China that I could kind of invite to this event. And I got a friend of mine's office, really small office with a round table. And my first meeting was like 5 people wrapped around this table were basically my friends. I knew almost everything about these people, but I still ran a meeting like I had intended. I hosted it. I would stand up. My name's Matt. I'm a local business owner. I do this and that. This is the first meeting of the Asia English Business Network. You all are in business and you all could communicate in English. The objective is to help each other. And I had a topic of conversation that I talk about local business in China. It was a very short meeting, the first one. The objective was to help each other. So I said, you know, Mr. Shi, can you help Joe over here? And, you know, vice versa. And what are you looking for? Is there anything that you're looking for in work recently? You know, whether it's business related or semi-business related, what can we do to help you grow your business? I thought it went well, and I decided to reschedule it every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, I asked them to bring a couple of friends, and I asked everybody to kind of come together. And I found out it was going to be about 20 people at this next event. Knowing that it was going to be 20 people, I decided us to meet at a local kind of bar. And so my second meeting of the Asia English Business Network went off really well. There was a lot of new people that my friends had brought in, and for them this was a event that they really didn't know much about. I was able to help people. I wore my suit and my vest. I gave everybody lead cards. I can help ... with ... And you were supposed to fill that out and give it to somebody else in the group, no matter what. Because oftentimes you don't know exactly what to help that person, but you might have a lead that might be able to help that person, you know? So there was a lot of good results from that meeting, and people learned a lot, people helped each other, and news started to spread that I was hosting these groups. 2 weeks later, when I did the next Asia English Business Network meeting, number 3, there was 60 people. My meetings started to become an important thing for people to go to in Ningbo, and it was quite nice. As the host of the event, I actually earned a lot of respect from people beyond even attending, because I was the guy running it, and it helped me to earn some credibility in China, where I was a stranger in a strange land. I was starting to become a cog in the machine that was Ningbo and Chinese business. And so I earned a lot of leads from that as well. People wanting to help me, people giving me assistance on the different things that I needed in China. The meetings continued for I think 4 or 5 more times at the restaurant, but soon we grew out of that venue. I had to look for something else, and the 5-star Shangri-La Hotel attended the meeting one day, one of the representatives from the hotel, because I had a lot of like food and beverage people that used to come. They came and they approached me and they said, we'd like to offer you our venue at our hotel free of charge. We can provide some snacks and things, but we just want to bring some people into the Shangri-La Hotel. This is a 5-star hotel, fantastic place. And so I went and inspected the hall that they were going to give me, and it was this beautiful hall. Hanging chandeliers, a beautiful like networked audio system, and the ability to really step up the event, step up my game. And so soon I was hosting like groups of 80 or 100 people. The networking event had a topic of discussion. People were offering discounts for their businesses. So we had like this like little community of people that within an Asia English Business Network were offering services based on what they did. I did a TV show in China called the Ningbo Focus Show. I produced it, directed it, edited it, everything. And that show was given to me via the Asia English Business Network. I met the person that gave me that show opportunity in the network. All of my opportunities in that time stemmed from the Asia English Business Network, and even personal life. Annie, I met Annie at one of my Asia English Business Network meetings. So you never know what's gonna happen when you network. Eventually, I got consumed with other projects. My world tour started to take shape. I started figuring out that I love to travel, and that travel had a very important role in my life. And I decided to wrap up the Asia English Business Network. Unfortunately, there was nobody that wanted to take the amount of responsibility to carry on this event. It was something that I did for free. And when I say for free, that's the one thing that people don't realize when you talk about doing some sort of a networking event, or even talk about doing something fueled by passion that you might not earn directly money, is that you earn based on how much energy you put into whatever you're doing. And sometimes if you do something for free, but you're passionate about it and it's successful, it doesn't matter if you earn anything from the event directly. you will earn based on the connections that you make and the opportunities that come from the obvious passion that you put into the project in itself. So I was putting all this passion into doing the event, and therefore people respected that, and they provided me with opportunities, and I ended up earning actual real money from. And I wasn't necessarily able to get anybody else that would put that sort of passion in that wanted to take it over. So the Asia English Business Network and website and social media company, the fledgling thing that it was, sort of dissolved away. It's okay. I moved on, and my energy was directed elsewhere where it was needed. But yeah, networking is important. I know firsthand. I haven't thought about the Asia English Business Network in a long time, so thank you for letting me share that story. But let's continue on, and let's re-meet the man that was so integral to getting me started in the world of networking, Ike Engelbaum.
Expected to say? So
it's just nothing. Just I want to introduce you. This is Ike Engelbaum. And like I was just talking in the car, I was talking about how his influence helped me to become really the man I am today, which hopefully you guys think is pretty good. But
He's very good. He's got a beard and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Did you remember me? I came to the group and I could look in your face. I was trying to see when you would recognize who I was. Do I look a little different?
Yes, a little different. It's the beard.
It's the beard and the lack of hair up here.
Well, listen, as long as you got it somewhere in the upper part of the anatomy, that's great.
Yeah, right.
I remember the energy that you had and the enthusiasm, and you really had a passion. And to your credit, you just came across like, hey, this is like $1 million idea, and I picked up on it. You actually look much more mature and even more handsome, and I'm not putting a hit on you. If you don't really have a passion and are enthusiastic about it, you can come up with the greatest idea and it's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
So the point is that obviously you have to know what you want, but once you want it, you have to go with it, like, as I like to say, instead of FBI, FIB, fire in the belly.
Fire in the belly.
So keep that fire going.
How long have you been doing the Entrepreneurs Network in Michigan?
Wow, it's been 45 years. The mission is still the same. I feel America is the greatest country in the whole world. That's why I do a radio show as well.
Yeah, he does a radio show.
And then it inspires me from hearing the inspirational people like you. And it's fantastic because there's so many creative people who are shot down before they even start. And the ones that really make it are the ones that have that stick-to-itness.
Tenacity.
If you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Right. Well, it's so nice to see you.
Nice to be seen. Okay.
Yeah. Ike Engelbaum, what a chance meeting. It was just a few people, you know, and they were all talking in different things, and then I got up. And I sometimes forget how unique my life is until I really stand up and say, yeah, I'm living in China for the last 10 years, and then everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cycling around the world from China to America for the next 10 years. Oh, I climbed Everest and went to North Korea. I've been doing a lot of things to check off my bucket list. Whoa. And I said, and a lot of it I have to owe to this guy right here, Ike Engelbaum. And he looked up at me like, what? And I said, I went to one of his meetings when I was early teenager. I had this crazy idea for these little plastic guys that hooked on car antennas. And then I could see it clicked with him. He was like, oh my gosh. You never know what seeds you're gonna plant, you know, whether you meet somebody, give them some inspiration, or you go to one of these events and you receive inspiration from somebody. The more networking that you do, the more chance you have to have one of those meaningful connections, and the chance you have to meet somebody that steers your life in a certain positive direction. Networking, always good stuff, Jayoe.